everyone, welcome back to another season of the Hylidae tournament. Today we are going to be seeing the match against the Baddies and the Americans Anthem team. We are joined by Justice, who's going to be commentating today with me. How are you, Justice?
Hello, I'm very good today. I'm excited to see both of these teams play. I've seen Baddies already before yesterday, and it was really exciting. They played some really good matches, interesting gameplay too. So yeah, I just want to see what they have in store for us today, and hopefully we get to see some maybe different picks or some fun stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I'm pretty excited too. America's Anthem actually reached played last season and they played really well. So I'm curious to see how they will do against the baddies. We're going to start today with the Red Church, as I believe the map that has been banned has been a different one. And we are going to start very much first with the Americans Anthem's Hunter Sleeping Jimmy against the Baddie Survivors. So, do you know any of these survivors or any of these hunters?
I don't think I know this hunter, but I've seen these survivors play. Um, Maybe if they're trying to counter a possible Ivy or Opera, their composition might be similar to the one from yesterday. So we might be able to just see some, basic meta stuff. Maybe some Magician to counter that Ivy, but mainly Cordy, Merc, Seer, stuff like that. And yeah, I'm excited to see what mainly the hunter because I don't know what their mains are, but. And yeah, we're already in the bans section right here, and we're already going to see a priestess and seer ban. Of course, very classic of any map, really.
Yeah, very classic choices. Personally, I may have not chosen to ban Priestess here. This is a very small map, and usually this is a map that's more focused for hunters that are like mind control hunters. I know, for example, Joseph is pretty good on this map as an ex-Joseph main, so I don't know if Priestess would have been a good man, but maybe they are going to play a much more classic hunter.
Yeah, I mean, this is still very much first round, so we're not seeing some hunter bans. And we can already, yeah, again, we can already see Magician pick here to possibly counter an Ivy from the AA side. I think Priestess is still very nice on this map. Of course, the long portal maybe not too much because, as you said, it's a rather small map. But the fact that she can use those long, like having those portals just for support or kiting is very reliable to extend chase. So I think Priestess is fairly reasonable of a ban. We are going to see a Barmaid ban though, so I don't know what the hunter has in mind here.
Yeah, looks like we're also going to be seeing a psychologist pick, which I think it's pretty good. Psychologist is a very strong survivor overall because her healing allows her to be an incredible support for rescuers. And considering we do have a gardener here, we may see a mainly support team.
I think we're trying to counter a possible opera here or some hunter that can down these survivors pretty fast because Gardener does have that bubble early game. Psychologist does have those 3 hits early game, so she's kind of hard to down. And the later you actually get that hit with Psychologist, the harder she is to chase because then that progress bar from the healing is going to reduce much later in the game. So even if a blink comes out from the hunter, it's not really going to matter. She still has that stress that she can use for her later kite. But yeah, I think this is a very solid survivor comp for the team baddies here.
Yeah, that's right. Especially because Mercenary has been picked. And Mercenary, honestly, I saw him a lot yesterday, precisely whenever there's a first officer ban. It looks like he's always like the second choice in man when they want to have a good rescuer. Because first officers pocket watches can be pretty annoying to deal with, especially if you're not a hunter that has a very good game sense.
Yeah, and even yeah, it looks like we're also seeing a possible option here as the hunter, as an Ivy against the Steam comp. But yeah, I definitely do agree with that. First officers, even just for Ivy here, we can see that first officer, if he does end up getting leeched, he can use watch, and for this Ivy, it's gonna be super difficult to just even get the scare in to get a hit in. So I think they basically have a very good composition for this Ivy here. I'm excited to see how this Ivy is going to manage to just even get one person down quickly into the game.
Yes, they might have to play for a much longer game, honestly. Looking into the now map picks location, it looks like they're going for a very strategic this shape. And oh, Ivy is going to place herself right beside of the middle church, so maybe she plans to go and get an early down on the psychologist today to get rid of the fear, so that there's a more easy chance to get her down and get rid of her amazing support.
Definitely. I do think that the best two survivors you to chase would probably be psychologist, or if you're crazy, I mean, hear me out. You could go for Merc. But Magician is like a no-no. He can just take off the Yithian, so it's really hard to take him. And this Gardener also has 912, so she is ready to take that kite. We are going to hopefully see her do that. But this is like again, this is a pretty small map as you said. And Ivy can pretty easily just scatter across the Yithian to put pressure on the ciphers, just put a rock here and there. So I think the coding progress is going to be a bit slow. So hopefully that compensates with kiting from the baddie survivor.
Yeah, good luck to both of teams. We are going to be jumping into the match pretty soon, so I'm excited to see how it's going to go.
I also want to see what the Ivy has brought for us. Maybe Insulin's detention, or probably Blink, of course. Yeah, it does seem like she is bringing Insulin's detention here, and she might go towards Psychologist or chasing Gardener but putting Yithian on Psychologist. Let's
Yeah,
see.
a good thing for the Ivy is that her parasite form allows her to infect survivors pretty easily without having to be too close to them. So that allows her to get a bit of an upper hand when forming a bit of presence. But I think it's also very important for her to have a good early chase.
It seems like we're also bringing Impulsive with Ivy, which is very smart, actually. Impulsive is, in my opinion, a very underrated trait that a lot of hunters can just use. It really catches survivors off guard when you're playing around the loops. But yeah, this Ivy is just doing a pretty good job now here at early game of putting the Cypher pressure. But these survivors are also doing a very good job rotating away, so it seems like a very two-sided game. We're seeing a lot of good plays from now. Garner
Yeah,
does not have a shield anymore, however, and she is at 70% stacks here, so she is at risk of getting a first hit, and then a blink down.
yeah, that's likely. She does have a good pilot sense. It does. Oh, that's going to be the blink. Very nice hit coming from the Ivy, which is going to allow her to get likely another stack and an easy hit from the infection.
Ooh, nice bubble here to prevent any form of just getting scared here. Yeah, that's gonna be the scare coming out in the first down. Pretty late into the game, but the ciphers are looking actually quite good. We have four ciphers started and mainly above 50%. So I don't think this is a bad spot for the survivors, for the baddie survivors.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good decoding progress all in all because it's pretty much all this like all these ciphers almost in 50 or over 50, and that's going to be the first cipher down. So it looks like Mercenary is going to go for the rescue easily.
Let's see if we can get the full corruption stacks on. Oh, it looks like it's going to be a
Oh,
terror shock onto this mercy. We're going to see a double down situation from the baddie survivor. Let's see if they can at least recover from this possible double
yeah.
down. If this gardener can kite for a bit longer.
Yeah, the good thing is that Gardner does have a tight turner, so maybe it's going to help them
Oh, that was
a
very
little
well
bit.
played on Ivy. I don't know if you saw that. That was very good scares.
Yeah, very good scares from the Ivy. Though it will be a double down, like you said. The mercenary is pretty far away, though, which will allow him to maybe use his health heal and get a bit of some decoding progress for his teammates. They are already at three ciphers left, so it really depends on whether this Ada is going to try and pull this rescue over here.
Ooh, she is quite quite high on that corruption rate. Let's see if we can manage to get this rescue in.
Oh,
Ooh, this is very close for the survivors. Can we get the rescue on Gardener? Okay, we did
maybe.
get the rescue on Gardener. That was a pretty good rescue from Psychologist. Couldn't really do much there. Um, Mercenary's still down. I am check. Yeah, he's just waiting to be picked up. I'm checking right now on Mercenary. He's 99. So he's going to be picked up by this Psychologist.
Yes, this Irma is already using her suicide build to get some distance from the Ivy, and or maybe even go as far away as possible from any chair and from any other survivor so that they can get a bit more of the coding progress in. So this is going to be the first down on the baddie survivors actually. So oh, look, pretty much an easy infection teleport, so they're going to look for another target right now. Probably Magician for the looks of it.
I think, yeah, I don't think this Ivy really wants to chase Magician. She's probably aiming for Psychologist here, who's pretty weak in Kite. Magician still having 3 wands is definitely not someone you want to chase. Yeah, that's gonna be first hit onto Psychologist, and then the blink is also up. So I think this is probably going to be a pretty quick down on Ivy.
Yeah, she needs to get also a bit more of cipher pressure in precisely because if this Aida does manage to get a good guide, she could get cipher rush. So she needs to get some good scares in a way.
Looks like we are going to see the blink out here, which is completely fine. The survivors, granted, are a bit you know, a bit slow right now. I think they can definitely maybe go for an off the half rescue. They really need to pop. I think they really need to pop one cipher, or else
Yeah,
it's gonna be looking bad for the survivors.
yeah, I do agree. They do need to rush a bit more on the decoding. And maybe a rescue after half wouldn't be a too bad idea, precisely because both of them are already on full health. So this will allow them to maybe have a bit of extra time to decode.
Looks like we're going to see a before half rescue, which is pretty good, but it might just be a double down situation. 2 ciphers remaining. This Psychologist really needs to be able to kite for a long time here, if possible. She needs to buy as much time for her team. That's a
Oh,
scare. Didn't get the scare, sadly.
didn't get the scare, and that was a pretty good palette pull down from the psychologist. She just that's going to be the scare though, and that will be a down. Double down. So this is looking pretty bad for the survivor so far because the mercenary hasn't pretty much used his self heal yet, but the magician is still decoding because their progress for a possible cipher pop is still very low.
I think they're probably aiming. Yeah, Mercenary is going to go for this rescue, probably using his last elbow pad. I don't know if he's going to. I think he definitely makes it. I mean, honestly, I think they could potentially get this tie. Definitely the rescue, but they're going to get leeched here as soon as they get rescued. Yeah, there you go. Let's see if this magician is able to, or this if this mercenary is able to body block for the Ada somehow. Maybe a force heal could come into play.
Oh,
77%. There's a pallet here for Merc to stun Ivy.
oh,
Unlucky,
but
we do not see that.
unlucky, a little too long from the palette. That's going to be unfortunately a psychologist down, but they do pop the cipher to probably get a bit of advancement on any gate progress so that they can maybe hopefully get a 1 man in this case, and they're going into opposite directions from the looks of it.
I think most definitely a 1 man is possible. This magician again still has 3 wands, so it's all about finding this Merc, getting him downed, and knowing that he used a self heal, so he can't really he could just stuck him on the ground. Magician here sadly gets to 68%, but does come in with Blink.
Oh, does get the blink hit and on detention, unfortunately. So it's looking pretty tight for the magician. But the good news for the mercenary is that he is pretty close on the dungeon as it is on the pretty left side of the map. So if he's able to pull a decent kite away from scares, he may be able to get a dungeon escape, hopefully.
Hmm. Let's see. This is very interesting situation for the survivors. 59 on the mercenary still means he can survive here as long as he doesn't look back somehow. This is
Yes, or
going to be a hit.
yes, it's going to be a hit, sadly. Maybe he can get the rescue, but considering they're already moving over, they might
Yeah,
get it. Yeah, it's going
we're
looking much like a 4K right now.
yeah, very well played on the Ivy. Considering we saw, if you remember, the four ciphers that were basically 50%. We can clearly see that that means nothing with Ivy if her map pressure is just too good. But
Yes,
yeah, honestly, well played on Ivy for actually getting that 4K and very nice try for the survivors. Their early game was really good, and then of course the longer they took to pop those ciphers, then the harder it was for them to get a tire win.
yeah, that's right. Honestly, their early game was pretty good, but Ivy is a very strong hunter, and usually considering she's been the last hunter list, without counting Goldman, she is pretty unmuch still on the meta. So a lot of people are very fearful of her precisely because of her scares as well. But I do agree that she did have an amazing map pressure so that she could still get the 4K despite getting Cypher rushed at the beginning.
Yeah, the survivors could really not they were not able to finish that last cipher or any of the two last ciphers. It was really difficult for them to pop them. Let's see. So we're now in round two, or not round two, sorry,
We're
second
moving to
half of round one.
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
We're still in Red Church, and we're going to be seeing next the American Anthem survivors against the Betty Hunter. So we wait for the teams to settle in. Who do you think we might see again on this map?
So
Our next.
I can already tell you from the matches I've seen, we might be seeing another Ivy here from Team Baddies, or potentially an opera singer, as those were the two hunters that they played.
Mhm.
But I think they mainly do play Ivy. So if the team comp from the survivors is not too hard countering to Ivy, if that makes sense, then probably her. I don't know of anything else they might be playing. So interesting to see if they maybe come out with a special pick.
Yeah, I know that Opera Singer is also pretty good on this map precisely because of how many objects she has to latch onto. Although in some spaces, like between the church and the place with the benches, it can be pretty difficult to get some jumps without full presence. That is the thing. So maybe they'll go for a safe choice of Ivy, or maybe they'll surprise us with a very different pick, like maybe a Joseph pick or even a Dreamwitch pick, if they feel like going for a full mind control hunter.
Definitely. I mean, I think on this map you can mainly afford to choose a lot of different hunters. This map is really good for survivors to kite on, but it's also pretty good for hunters because again, it's small. So you could, I don't know, you could even see like some gamekeeper, you could see some geisha, you could see some hermit as we've seen in previous matches. You could even Joseph, as you said, we can see disciple. A lot of hunters can be played here in this map. So it all comes down to whoever our hunter main here from Team Baddies is most comfortable with.
Yeah, that's right. I do not know very much well this hunter, but I do think that there is a possibility for the opera singer. Well, I do hope for a Joseph. I know it's not likely, but I'm pretty excited to see how it goes. Precisely in survivors wise, I do hope we can see an antiquarian just pretty strong on this map, actually, in my opinion, because of how many walls there are in kiting cells, so it is easy to stand a hunter in such places.
I definitely agree. You know what I would like to see on this map? I think the best really I think that's the hunter that people are craving to see in tourneys is Mad Eyes actually. Mad Eyes in this map, or I think in any map is just fun, but in this map I think he does do quite well. He gets the consoles pretty close to each other and especially close to the cipher machines. But I don't
Mhm.
think I sadly don't think we have a Mad Eyes enthusiast on in this tourney, so maybe another tourney or some different matches.
Yeah, but hopefully maybe we'll see him at some point, like we will see Joseph at some point from in this tournament, but we will have to wait. Uh, I do believe we're going to be moving pretty soon into picks and bans. So, who do you want to see from the survivor side?
As survivor picks,
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, oh yeah, so we're
Ben,
also seeing Seer and Cordy ban here. Pretty similar to another match from Baddies, but I do think that the survivors are expecting an Ivy or alternatively a Sangria. So probably going for things like psychologist, magician, gardener again, maybe cheerleader for that psychologist. Sorry for that Ivy. Oh, we're going to see a weeping clown here. Interesting, and a magician as well.
pretty interesting choice. I do remember we saw a choice of a whipping clown for last tournament against an Ivy. Uh, Yesterday's round. So maybe they are going for an expected opera singer.
Hmm, interesting. I don't know what the two other survived. Probably one rescuer for AA team and potentially another support slash kiter here. An acrobat would be quite. I think an acrobat would be very nice. Yeah, we're going to see mercenary maybe from. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, we will
maybe
be seeing
mercenary.
a mercenary. Yes, he's usually like the second choice whenever first officer gets banned. So I'm not so surprised of seeing him there, especially because all the matches has been like, you banned first officer. Okay, I'm gonna take mercenary. Oh, and we will be seeing an Ada ban. So this is most likely either an opera singer or they might be even an Ivy, like we said before.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this fourth and last pick for the survivors is quite free. They're able to pick anything they want, really. They could even go fire investigator if they probably not, but we've seen fire investigator in tourney more often, so I think they could even just pick that. We'll
Yeah,
see.
it could be a risk that they decide to choose. Oh, but we will be seeing a female dancer lock in. She's very good support and she can be a strong kiter when time calls for it. So it's not a surprise that we see her in this match.
Hmm. I do think that female dancer does lack a bit in that kiting potential against opera singer, because even if you do put a box down and maybe put a palette down, so that creates that loop that most female dancer gives as a form of support or as kiting for themselves. Opera singer is just too fast. She's that fast. She can catch up to the female dancer even within the slow box. So I think it's a smart choice, obviously, for support because it can still help the other survivors just to transition from an area to another area, or for female dancer to just kite. But I think against Ivy, it's actually a pretty good choice to bringing female dancer, as she does not really have anything to. She's kind of forced to break the boxes or do some like weird mind games on the loop. So yeah, and we are
Going
seeing
to see,
an Ivy. Yeah.
yeah, an Ivy lock in. This team against Ivy, I think it might go well precisely because they have Magician, but it also really depends on how much support the female dancer gives, and maybe we will see some Whippy Clown kiting, considering that his rockets will allow him to gain some distance with the Ivy as long as he doesn't have a lot of parasites and scares going on.
Hmm. Weeping Khan can definitely not use Rocket when he is leeched, as it can get cancelled. But as soon as he doesn't have a leech on, or maybe for a rebound kite, then I think Weeping Khan is definitely a solid option. Or even just maybe for support or harass.
I
So
do believe
if
they might be going for a rescue whipping clown because this whipping clown is bringing Tide Turner, while the rest everyone is actually bringing borrowed time. The with mercenary and whipping clown bringing Tide Turner, and female dancer and magician are going to be bringing broken windows as well.
hmm, interesting. I do think it makes sense for Weeping Khan to get in that tide. He's I think it's one of the characters that is allowed to bring a lot of different traits. I think Magician could even like bring Tide himself. He could use a wand to get into rescue. But I think Weeping Khan definitely makes sense. At the end of the day, a Tide is an extra 20 seconds on the clock to get the ciphers finished potentially. So I think having even three ties is not I don't think it's an issue. But let's see what they're going to cook for us in this match.
Yeah, we're going to be moving pretty much soon into the match, so good luck to both teams.
See. They're pretty similar spawns as well, so we're not seeing anything different there.
Yeah, maybe
But
it might be a repeat from the last match, or maybe they'll be able to manage to get a tie out of this situation.
let's see. So we're starting here already into the match. We're going to be seeing. We can't see the persona that Ivy is carrying, sadly, but we can just maybe guess here as commentators
Yeah, maybe
with
it's
chat.
going to be insurance and detention as well, maybe.
Gets a leech here onto the female dancer, does not get the full 40. I think it's 20 needed for a first scare hit and then another one. It does get the 76 here. Female dancer doing a pretty good job at distancing herself as much as possible from Ivy as well. Let's see what this
Yeah.
Ivy can do. Choosing not to that's a very
Oh,
nice hit and a very nice scare from Ivy
oh,
pretty early into the game as well. Looks like she's
yeah.
choosing rather to go for a lot of more chase than trying to get the map pressure going on.
Yeah, maybe they went to focus more on chasing and getting rid of the best support for this team, and it looks like that might be the case considering that they just got the first down. However, Cyphers are already pretty much moving along for a while. They're almost done with their first Cypher, with the other two already above 50%.
It also looks like the mercenary is going to try go rescue here. Although he is pretty far away, he might need to use an elbow pad to get into this rescue. Weeping Clown, Cypher has been used a ghost, so he can't really decode that anymore. So we're yeah, there's a pat from Mercenary here, going barely at the limit. Let's see if we can get a terror shock maybe from the Ivy, not quite getting it. Before half rescue, pretty good from the Mercenary and no double down. A really good
Yeah,
rescue here.
very good rescue. Oh, they do get the blink, however, and that's going to be probably the down from the female dancer. They do get the decoding pretty much well, so maybe they can afford to go for a second rescue on her, as long as they're not too far along from her.
I think we might be seeing potentially Weeping Clown going for the rescue. As he has the second tide, and that second tide is really going to help them. At least I think they should probably try to finish the Weeping Clown's first cipher, I believe, or the cipher that Merc was on, because they have two ciphers above 50 that they really should finish, at least to get that dungeon going. I'm not saying it's going to be a 4K. I'm just saying they should probably get some ciphers going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Whipping Clown is oh, they use the stun to get a bit of distance with me. Ivy, but they do get the hit on the female dancer sadly, which will be going down pretty much soon. So maybe they can use this time that borrowed time allows them to get a bit more of the coding progress done.
Definitely. I mean, that was also really good rescue. Both rescues are really good from the survivors here. Not getting any double downs, and we might see, however, a double down. Maybe I might have jinxed that one
Yeah,
from Merc here.
yeah, a bit unfortunate. It looks like the female dancer flew a bit too close to the sun by setting herself right over where the mercenary was decoding. But at least she's on a faraway spot of the map that will allow them to find mercenary and maybe let him pick him up, or maybe he will have to use his self heal.
I don't think he's going to have enough time for his self heal as he's about to. Yeah, and Ivy's just right next to him. He's going to pick up. We do have two ciphers started here, and Magician potentially getting chase here, and a hit onto Magician.
Yeah, pretty nice movement from the hunter, but they do need to hurry up a bit with the ciphers. Their cipher progress they needs to move a little bit further across if they want to maybe get a tie off the situation. But right now looks like everyone is injured across the board.
Yeah, it looks like we're aiming for that global injured status here, so that they can't really safely decode. They're at risk of getting leached and then immediately downed. And a blink
Yeah.
up here for Ivy is just devastating for this Weeping Clown who can't really do anything. Oh, might
Oh,
miss.
yes.
What the?
Oh,
Okay, sorry,
oh,
sorry, I
okay.
heard it right away.
They missed the blanket and they missed a couple more times, but it looks like they did manage to get a turbo shock by the very end, which will help
We
the Ivy into getting a bit more liches going on.
we managed to get the down there at the end. It's fine. I think either way, after the vault, they would have gotten pretty quickly. But yeah, we do have this cipher at 95%, almost primed. Mercenary, who could potentially go for the rescue, which is probably what we're going to see here. As this magician, I don't know if this magician's decoding. Oh, he just finished this cipher. So he's probably
Yes,
going to try to get Merc cipher here and try to maybe aim for tie slash one man.
yeah, but I don't know if the magician is close enough to get over to that cipher, so they might need to go for the 49% one or even start a whole new one because of how long they are from it.
And this Ivy is camping the cipher. That's why they can't afford to actually go there. Looks like
Oh,
we're
they
going to
don't.
see a triple rescue, or not triple rescue, sorry, double rescue.
Yeah, looks like they're going to go pick up the mercenary. And that Whipping Cloud has used their last rocket, I believe, to get a bit of distance, which will put them in a bit of a detrimental situation if they want to rescue this mercenary later on, because both of them are injured. So unless they get a pretty good cipher pop with their borrowed time, it might give them a bit of trouble.
This is a very tough situation for the survivors here. I don't think they can really afford to reset either because the Yithian is just going to camp that last cipher.
Yeah, and well, dungeon is pretty much right there over cemetery, but it's really they do move over to the whipping clown to get another down on them, and pretty much camp over the cipher.
It
It
looks like
will be taking.
Mercenary. Oh, Mercenary was rescued before Hoff. Quite important here for the survivors.
Yeah, but they're already moving up their scares and leeches over to both of them, so that might be detrimental. They still might need to get maybe a one man escape by the dungeon, as I do think they are a bit on a tight situation to decode either of the cipher machines because she's just going to move over and over again between both of them with her leeches.
They can definitely do a good job here because Mercenary is not able to be leached. But yeah, like seems like this Ivy is playing very smart here. So she knows this mercenary can't really do anything about them. He can't be leached, and he also can't do anything about her being here. And I believe the magician just has the leech waiting on the other cipher, who's at 85%. So she's
Oh,
basically
yes.
locking both of them up.
Yeah, missed the blink but managed to get a hit in, so Mercenary is going to go down pretty soon. He does have self-heal, however, so
Wow,
it's going to
that
be
was
a double down.
yeah, that was
And
kind. Mercenary does not have a self heal there, so they know they can't really do anything. That was an
yeah,
impressive last scare from the Ivy. The magician used a wand there at the end, and he was basically invisible, right? And the Ivy kind of predicted where he was and actually managed to get the 100% scare rate. So that's congratulations on the hunter here. We're seeing, I believe, already two big 4Ks on the hunter side. So basically tied together now.
yeah, that's right. Pretty much we have seen a 5-5 score point right now, which is going to mean that they will likely be tying up this round with a 5-5. Their hunters and Ivy played really well on this map, actually, and survivors actually had pretty good early games throughout the both rounds.
Definitely. Let's see. We're now closing in into our second round, so
Yeah,
we're probably going to see a different map. So definitely not Red Church,
yeah,
and
Red is
we
going
might
to.
be banning Ivy from both sides. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe banning Ivy from both sides is going to be the smarter choice because both hunters demonstrated just how strong they are at playing this hunter actually. And she is a powerhouse, especially if you know how to play around with her scares and everything, like we have seen in these matches.
let's see. Now I'm in the Survivor team right now. Yeah, we're going to be waiting for the survivors and the hunter to join. I think they're probably picking right now the map and who's going to go first, the faction, all that good stuff. Do you know who won
Yeah,
the coin flip actually?
I do believe the first coin flip was won by the American ensign because they got to choose the map, which was Red Church. Well, no, Baddies chose the map, which was Red Church, and they're going to be able to ban the map this time around. So, as a reminder, Hospital and Church can no longer be picked nor banned because they have been the banned map and the chosen map for this last round. However, we also have to keep in mind the most recent perma-ban survivors, which I believe in Baddies is going to be. Oh no, in the
Magician. I believe it's
but
going to be Magician and definitely not Merc. Who did we see? Wait,
maybe
who did we see first round?
maybe Clown and Magician are for the Baddies. No, for the
For the
uh
AA, yeah, for the
yeah,
AA team.
and for the Baddies, I believe it was also Magician and Gardener actually.
Oh yeah, it was
Uh,
magician and gardener, and then they chose psychologist and mercenary. So
that's right. Yeah, then those are going to be the perma survivors right now. What map do you think they might choose next? Actually,
I
since
think,
Richard has been eradicated.
especially for a potential opera singer game here, or maybe if there's any other hunters, probably a bigger map. So we could probably see. I'd say Moonlit. Moonlit is a fairly solid map for her. We might see some Lakeside. We might see some Chinatown. Those, or even just like the last option, basically Ever Sleeping Town. But yeah, we're definitely expecting a bigger map. I have no idea which one though, so it all depends on what the survivors maybe have trained for. Maybe they have a specific composition in mind to counter this opera, and they're gonna surprise us with it.
Yeah, actually, for what I've seen from commentating for this tournament, I do see a lot that most of the opera hunters try and choose Oversleeping Town precisely because, like I said yesterday, it's very much like a middle map. It's not too big, it's not too small, and it really can make the game go either way. And a lot of hunters can use the tricks from the second floors to get some advantages, as well as they have a lot of kiting ground for the survivors.
Yeah, and even just in Ever Sleeping, for example, there's a few areas in the map that are really not the safest for survivors if we, because if we compare it to Sacred Heart, in Sacred
Mhm.
Heart, you can go to so many places where you're just so safe from a lot of different hunters. You can go to Gut Kite, you can go to Middle, you can go to Shack, you can go to the other side near the other gate where there's like a few pallets there and like a very strong window. You can go to Statue, which still has a lot of pallets. But if you compare that to now Ever Sleeping, well, you have maybe Corner House, which is a very strong area, but doesn't counter all hunters. You have that one little pallet with a window. You have Graveyard, which is a pretty strong area as well. And overall, the middle, which is kind of filler, like it's just there. There's a lot of pallets, but none of them are extremely safe. But yeah, definitely
Look
a
like we
map
just
that's
got.
balanced.
Yeah, we just got the map that has been banned, and it looks like they chose to ban Arms Factory. Actually, pretty interesting choice to go along with.
So they're playing in Arms Factory.
No, they're banning Arms Factory.
Oh yeah. Okay. Like
Yeah, that's
Arms
an
Factory is interesting.
interesting choice from the baddies, actually. Because I personally would have chosen to maybe get rid of our Sleeping Town to get rid of the potential opera singer killing ground. But I do see why also Orange Factory has been the choice to be picked because small maps tend to be pretty difficult to navigate with, and sometimes at least.
I mean, I think it also makes sense for Team Baddies here to ban Arms Factory, as I've told you before that the Hunter its roster mainly was Ivy and Opera. So Opera does. It's not that Opera is bad necessarily in Arms Factory, but there's so many pallets that you can just spam over, and she can't really catch up to you. So I think that again, we're seeing right now Chinatown. Is that Chinatown? Yeah, that is Chinatown, right?
Yeah, that is Chinatown. We will be moving into Chinatown, which I do think it's a pretty solid choice as well because of how many tricks this map has. It has too many two-story floors and it has too many pallets as well. And while the center is like a dead zone pretty much because of the round tree, it does have a lot of hiding spaces as well for the survivors to use.
This is also one of them. I think one of the main maps where you can really make a solid rotation for the survivors, especially, and like that you can cut a hunter up guard. It has strong areas as well, so definitely a solid map overall. I do
Yeah,
think it has its flaws, like with Opera Singer, if you get caught in a specific spot, you're not going to be able to do a lot. Um, so it all depends as well on what the survivors are going to pick. Because if they pick, I don't know, a prisoner maybe, and they want to put the prisoner in two-story area, in the good area, at that right side, he does have a really good kiting spot where he can kite for a pretty long time, regardless of it being an opera.
yeah, that's right. And what I do think might be the hunter we might be seeing, maybe we'll be able to see a different hunter being played. Maybe we will see a hermit because I know he's a good choice for this map precisely because of how much cipher pressure he can put in. Although I would like to see maybe a Joseph. I know he has some pretty good cameras in here. And while it's pretty close, some cameras do tend to be a bit hidden though. So maybe we could even see a Dreamwitch actually.
Yeah, it could even be Shreemage here from Slippin' Yimmy from the Hunter of 8A. I think there's definitely a lot of solid options for this map. Like Breaking Wheel, Wax Artist, you could go Hermit, as you said, also works just fine. Dream Witch, heck, you could even go Wu Chang if you wanted on this map.
Yeah.
Because it's very open, right? So you're able to see what, I mean, open, quote unquote. But yeah, definitely. Let's see what the hunter wants to bring out here on Chinatown.
Yeah, as we wait for the survivors and the hunters to settle in, as a reminder, since we are going with the baddie survivors first, their locked characters are going to be Gardener and Magician, precisely because they used them first on the last match, so they are going to be going up firstly without those characters. So considering this is Chinatown, I do think we might see some toy merchant instant bans.
Toy merchant from Survivors, perhaps.
Yeah, precisely because
Hmm.
she has a lot of good catapults in this place.
Definitely. No, yeah, the toy merchant's not I wouldn't say fan favorite, but I would definitely say that she is a strong contender to be played on Chinatown. All the Yeah, so obviously Ivy band, there was no I don't think there was any doubt behind that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
like what else could we even see on this map as survivors? Maybe
I
something
don't.
more consistent.
Maybe we will see some aeroplanist gameplay, precisely because he has such a lot of trick jumps that he can get in the it looks like we're going to be seeing for the perm events of next match, but the first choices are going to be Barmaid and Seer. Getting the Seer locked before they can think about banning him next.
Smart choice, honestly, from the survivors. Here is always and that's why he's really good. I'd say he's just like this ominous presence throughout the match. If he doesn't get first chase, of course, you have to quote unquote worry about. He's like, oh, I'm gonna down this survivor, but oh wait, there's an owl, so I can't actually down him anymore. And that also just depends on the player. So looks like we're also seeing a Cordy ban here from the Hunter side. Cordy, very solid survivor that you can pick, I think, into anything almost, as long as they don't bring excitement, of course.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, from what I've seen from these picks, they look like they're going for a hunter that really doesn't like to get stunned because this is a priestess, an antiquarian, and a coordinator band, as well as an acrobat band.
Yeah,
Curious
so
choice.
kiters.
Yeah, banning mainly strong kiters and containers. It looks like they're going to force them into a mainly support team, probably.
Or thinking maybe about or toy merchant, as you said. Yeah,
Getting
toy merchant is very
Yeah,
smart
they
on
got
this map.
merchant for those catapult tricks, and they also got first officer, which is going to help them, especially if this hunter doesn't have a good sense of how first officer's pocket watches work. So maybe that's going to help them a lot in the long run because this team does look like a very strongly tied support team because of Bormate's the volumes that she can use on herself or on her teammates and also because of first officer's rescue ability of disguising his rescue as himself as well.
Yeah, and now we're also basically waiting for the hunter here from AA to choose. It's AA, right? I don't. Yeah, it's AA. To
Really.
choose an option here. What do you think we're gonna see? Opera? Dreamwitch?
I don't know if we will see an opera actually. This team might be a little too difficult for an opera to handle. Especially because of Toy Merchant. Her catapults in this. Oh, we're actually gonna see opera
Opera,
singer.
indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried though because this team against Opera could bring her a bit of trouble, especially Toy Merchant. She has a lot of trick jumps with her catapult that will allow her to have a lot of moving ground that maybe she won't be able to catch up to so easily, especially because of how many curves of the two stories she has to do.
I think honestly for our opera singer here, I don't Toy Merchant is obviously a threat on the field in the sense that she has a lot of kiting potential with her catapults. She is going to be put in place in one of the strongest areas on this map as well. But for the opera singer, I think even chasing Barmaid, if she gets an early hit, it really takes 20 seconds for them for the heal to come out, and if we don't ask for that seer owl maybe to get the heal in, Opera Singer can very easily catch up back to Barmaid as she doesn't really have a lot to work with. So I think Barmaid is a strong contender for first kite or maybe seer now that I'm looking at
They
it.
Yeah, they're working for an L shape, putting D3 Merchant in a second two-story, which will make her a dangerous target. So I do get it, and they put Rescuer right in the middle, which is always the safe choice to do. And considering that this opera singer is moving to maybe get the first chase either on the first officer to force him to get all of his pocket watches out, or maybe she will try and get rid of the seer, who is going to be a constant problem on their mind if they do owl spam them.
Let's see. I mean, honestly, I think this could be, hmm, in favor of, I'd honestly say the hunter here, but if the survivors are able to kite for a pretty long time, then they can easily get this tie slash win. Probably going to see a detention trump card or whatever sangria. So just the the usual stuff. Nothing too crazy from the hunter.
Yeah, I'm quite excited to see how it goes. So good luck to all of the teams as we're going to be starting up the match pretty soon. With these
See.
operas going to spend right in the building and they're starting to move along pretty much over to this year so that they can get a fast down on him.
Yeah, she's doing a really good job already at the shadows. She's not missing. It's very important that she does not miss any shadow here. We're able already to start the chase with Seer here, who's also going to try to doesn't get the hit through the pallet. I'm assuming he's trying to get his second owl, probably. That's what will really decide whether his kite really lasts a long time. He's already doing a really good job here, playing around these two pallets. This opera singer
Yeah.
does not seem to get not. Wow,
Oh!
that's very well played from Seer here, getting that owl and to the pallet stun. Opera getting a lot of distance here for the opera to try and catch up. It looks like we
Yeah.
might. We are kiting near the toy merchant, I think. So could be a little bit scary here. That's a
Oh, they,
first hit onto, and that's a catapult for Seer to grab.
yeah,
Blink
putting
is
a bit
ready
of
as well.
this is not to break the pallet, maybe because they want to get the early hit. So it's going to allow them to have another catapult throughout the game, which could be troublesome, but it was a good catapult from the toy merchant. Another catapult here that they do choose to break, and looks like they're moving along to maybe now chase over the toy merchant pretty much.
They might have lost this year, which is pretty huge for the survivors. Look at the cipher progress as well. Two ciphers are going to be popping very soon. I think they're probably they're going to reset with the seer. They're going to heal him. While this toy merchant is also doing a very good job at containing this opera. However, she did have to use both of her catapults, so she is kind of naked right now. She doesn't have a lot to work with. Let's see what she can bring. Blink is up.
Oh, that's going to be the head on the toy merchant, sadly. She does not have a lot to work around, like you said. Her catapults are pretty much down, but she could maybe use her own flying technique to
Fighter,
maybe
yeah.
yeah, her glider to get a bit more of distance. They do seem to move into the cipher that the
Oh,
oh
that was a very nice
they
blink.
yeah, very nice clean link, but they do have to decipher her well, they'll sit her pretty much over here, as this was the cipher that the first officer was decoding. That's going
I,
to be a bit of trouble.
the toy merchant was actually initially decoding on this cipher. It's fun to see that the first officer then had to take it, but also was also taken here to the kite.
Yeah,
Very good
getting
job,
that
honestly, this first
very
officer.
much. Yes, I know this person. Seven is doing a pretty good job on moving. Oh, they got the rescue, but they do get the hit on the toy merchant. They do have tight though, so maybe that will allow them to get a bit of distance before they go down.
Yeah, I do think this is a completely smart choice from Toy Merchant. She's going as far away as possible from this cipher. We're two ciphers, basically one cipher left, and it's that one cipher that Toy Merchant actually herself started at the very beginning. As soon as this Toy Merchant is going to be picked up and put into a chair, it's already going to be basically primed. So we need to, for these survivors, we really need to get the rescue as soon as possible so that she doesn't, do some weird shenanigans to the
Yeah. Uh,
cipher.
yeah, Cypher is pretty much primed, and Seer does get the hit, but they chose not to pop just yet. Maybe
Ooh.
because there's two survivors that are pretty close together here. Oh, they get the Cypher pop for the rescue, which is a surprise, and it looks like this Hunter is going to be changing into either Ward or Teleport to get some of the attacks later on when they need to move over for a decoding gate.
I think sadly Seer had an owl there. He chose not to use it for the rescue. I think he was probably trying to body block with it afterwards, but might have timed it wrong because we did not see it come out. So this might actually be a tie game here for Sangria and for the survivor side. Still has an owl, so I don't think there's any
Yeah,
more tied. No, he does get up, and he does have a pretty good kiting area here for himself. With the teleport in hand, no more blink for Sangria to get this seer. I think this could very well turn in the survivor's favor here. What do you think?
maybe they could get a three-man, but it really depends on whether this year is going to be able to reach over for the gate. They do have the owl, so they need to time it very well so that they don't lose it in time. Because she already closed up all of the distance she needed.
Oh, and with the
Yes,
tension here, I
teleport.
don't. Oh, this first officer wants to try and take a hit here for Seer, but unfortunately does not manage to get the tide turner hit with the watch. Very good effort here on the survivors to try and get that win, but honestly, congratulations even on getting the tie against Sangria here. Sangria also very well played in getting that consolidating the tie, as the first start of the match went pretty rough for her. So good job
Yeah,
on both factions here.
to make this into a tie. They had a very good cipher rush on this opera singer because she does not have a lot of abilities to cipher rush like maybe Ivy does. So she really needs to rely on her speed and being able to put some pressure on all of the survivors. I think they actually got really lucky with all of the cipher spawns in here because they all chose to decode very separate spawns to ciphers to um get some of the decoding progress done.
Yeah, and now we're closing in the second round here. What is the win condition here for our survive for both teams? So they tied the first round, correct? And now it's a tie for baddies.
Really a tie.
So
So either team needs to probably get most likely a three-man or a three-kill just to put a bit of point difference as both teams are currently standing on 7 with 7 points.
yeah, very very close match here from both teams. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
So
pretty
yeah,
much time actually. I'm pretty curious to see if the hunter this time is going to be able to get maybe a 4K, or if the survivors are going to go and take this home with them. It really depends on how they decide to play, because we will most likely be seeing a third round for this game. But I'm excited to see how it goes.
definitely, definitely. I mean, again, this is the same map, of course. It's Chinatown. Um, but yeah. So the hunter is now the baddies one, and it. I mean, we're probably going to see an opera singer again. So pretty similar matches in terms of hunters. But at least we have seen some variety in the survivors. That first round we saw the gardener and psychologist picks, even just with magician, and then the second one we actually saw some weeping clown. So definitely,
Yeah,
some variety.
Yeah, we will have the Whipping Clone, the Magician, Permaband, no for the baddies. Well, no, for the AS survivors. So we will be seeing most likely a Seer pick for a ban. They do seem to be mulling a bit over who's the second choice, but Seer, from what we saw, he's a pretty good choice.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's your all-around good support and kiting potential for him. Priestess just makes sense in this map. I don't think we have to argue about that. Um, she just makes
Very
crazy long
strong.
portals.
She has pretty strong teleports on this map, and especially with her long portal, it doesn't really matter that this is a very small map. She has a lot of advantage with the two floors. And it looks like we will be seeing the Ivy ban expected as much, considering especially how strong the Ivy was last time.
Yeah, and here's where we're seeing also the start of that different composition here from the AA team. We're going to see an Embalmer and similarly a Toy Merchant. Of course, Toy Merchant is very good on this map, and Embalmer so is as well. This is large map, so you can just put Coffin and then rotate all the way to somewhere else. And if the hunter does not bring warp or maybe teleport, then that Coffin is going to be deadly.
Yeah, actually, as an ex Vivage embalmer, I know exactly how good he is on this map, precisely because he has such good spots to to put his coffin, and such coffin will allow either him or the survivors to get a lot of distance from the hunter, which will be necessary, especially if they are going to go up against another opera singer.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like we're seeing basically first and also yeah, also similar bands, correct? Or basically the same bands actually. Steer,
Similar band,
Priestess, Antiquarian,
actually.
Acrobat. Yeah, I believe those are the same bands that are baddies, not baddies, sorry. AA Hunter chose for baddies. So let's see what different or what last survivor pick the AA team is going to bring to us.
Yeah, we do have a first officer pick, which the seven already showed us from the last match how good of a hunter he can. Well, how good of a rescuer he can be, precisely because his pocket watches are so detrimental. Oh, and we will be seeing a coordinator lock. Pretty curious choice. They are seeming to be bringing a full team that's focused on rescuing mainly. Support and rescuing. It looks like they really want to secure a three-man.
Yeah, or even just solid team overall too. Pretty hard to pick a first chase for a hunter here, depending or not necessarily hard, but let's say that their traits and their persona web are going to like determine what the hunter is going to bring here. If we decide to go for Cordy, maybe that's not something we want to do because of the gun. But if we do take excitement, then maybe it is worth it. But that first officer definitely don't want to chase him. Toy Merchant, as you've said before, has some really good catapult setups here, and we've seen that in the last match. Really good job from the Toy Merchant supporting the Seer. The Seer actually got away, so that was really good. And then Embalmer, of course, pretty solid tie. I'd say tie option for the survivors, but solid in kiting as well. He doesn't have a lot to his kiting, but he does have a lot of let's say safe ground for the survivors to work around the rescues. So definitely a solid comp here for our opera singer indeed.
Yeah, we will be seeing another opera singer being played. So maybe this opera singer will have a bit of reflection from the previous opera singer and maybe go for a 4K. Or maybe the survivors are going to learn from the previous match and they are going to go for a full for man. It really depends on how they decide to play themselves. Looks like Ayasop is going to play himself right into second story with Rescuer right in the middle, and Coordinator is going to the top. And it looks like they're going for the normal L shape you see in this match. And Opera Singer seems to be looking to get first guide over the Coordinator. Pretty similar, well, the exact same spawn locations like we got last match.
Yeah. Funnily enough, it is the same locations. Um,
Yeah.
but this time I think for Cordy. And also for this opera singer, she's not gonna have that same support that we've seen last game because the toy merchant is now closer to the middle. So we might even see Cody rotating from her side to kind of Embalmer's side, shooting gun, and then maybe Embalmer is going to try and record her face so that they can do a coffin play. That'd be really fun to see.
Yeah, this ace is pretty much also ready to guide if necessary because he does bring a full suicide build with the rest in broken windows of borrow time, except for the first officer who's bringing Ty Turner with him.
Hmm. We are seeing some pretty standard builds on the other survivors. So let's see how this match goes for both our teams here. Because I think it could really go either way. It depends on what the opera singer here does with her routing, who she wants to chase. And we're closing in already into the match here. We're loading in as Sangria. Let's see what she brought here for us. A blink
Uh,
from Sangria. And this Cody is very smart from this Cody. Does not I don't think she's expecting this rotation. Sally does end up seeing the footprints. She might get a very early hit here.
does not manage to get it. Oh, they do get pretty much gone at the start, but this isn't exactly a great zone for them to hide in. I don't think so.
No, not really. This is pretty bad area for this Cordy. Although, because it is quite open, Opera Singer can't really dash. We are going to be able to see the first hit here, however, with
Yeah,
Blink still on cooldown.
yeah, pretty early hit, but if they do manage to get a bit more of distance, if possible, they might be able to kind of build longer, but in more time. The thing is that with Opera Singer, she's able to close distance very close, and that will be an early down, sadly.
Let's see if the basement might be here in restaurant. Or no, it doesn't seem like it. Thankfully for the survivors, because that would have been devastating. We might see, yeah, we're definitely seeing the three ciphers here shaking, so we know that we're not going for the rescue yet. So this opera singer knows that she can pressure safely this first officer. Yeah, she's just checking the ciphers, making sure that nobody's going for the rescue. And making sure that yeah, she can just get 3 kills here maybe. Coordinator very slow on chair, so maybe a bit difficult to. Looks
Yeah,
like they are selling though.
yeah, very solid watch from the first officer does allow him to get a bit of distance from the opera singer, but they aren't really close to the coordinator. They are already over half, which could be a bit of trouble actually.
Yeah, we're definitely going after half here, with all of our 3 watches used. So there's not going to be a tight anymore for first officer. We do get the rescue in. Seems like we're trying to go for the double down here, but chooses maybe just to kill the coordinator as soon as possible to get her out of the game.
Yeah, probably will be the better choice, precisely. But my coordinator did a pretty good choice by going right into the corner of the map to allow the rest to get as much decoding time as possible and as much distance from this opera singer.
It looks like first officer here will be starting a cipher in restaurant, and the embalmer's going to get. Wow, that was even from the embalmer's perspective, that was a very something hit, if I might say.
Yeah, especially
Embalmer
with
does have
Saul.
coffin here.
He does have coffin, and he is in a pretty okay zone to kite. Oh, but they do manage to get a hit on. They don't use the coffin just yet, so maybe they're going to wait to get cheered because they do seem to be going pretty much into basement. However, coffin is also pretty close to them, so I don't know if they will choose to use it.
Yeah, it is upstairs, right in here next to the pallet. So Embalmer is still very much safe. Remember, he does have. Is it him? Did he use? Was he on 912? Yeah, he was on flywheel broken. So he should
Yeah,
still be quite safe here.
yeah, he doesn't have borrowed time, and they do hit the shield. So, they got a flywheel, but
Oh, Very nice
Yeah,
try though from Embalmer. That catapult could have just changed the entire game. And yeah,
yeah, and
we're getting a basement here.
yeah, Baseman is the very smart choice right now for this opera singer, especially because they all almost have their Cypher Prime. It's already on 90 pretty much. So they need to get a pretty good rescue in right now, or they're not going to be able to lock in a three-man.
And this toy merchant is going to not. Yeah, she is going to make the rescue here. Embalmer ends
Yeah,
up having nine
the thing is that
twelve.
this Bomber doesn't have borrowed time, actually. Like we said before, he brought a full suicide build. So this might be a double down.
Looks like we might see a three-man here from Sangria if this first officer does not decide to go rescue.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
yeah,
know
even
if
if he goes rescue, it's
they
just
no longer have Ty Turner. And this late in the game with an opera singer in detention, it could be pretty bad. Isaac is already up from his cell kill, but he's pretty much going down as well. So Opera might use this chance to go find
oh
the
oh never
oh,
mind.
they
Yeah,
use
yeah,
the
he has
call
watches.
right to get a bit on the first officer, but it looks like they're going to set themselves with just the three men, which is a pretty good choice overall. So congratulations to this Sangria for pulling that three kill, and congratulations as well to the survivors. They played really well.
Definitely. And now I think this is the time in the game in this matchup between both teams that we're actually going to see some very interesting hunter and survivor picks. As now into third round, we're going to have four global bans. We're also going to be able to ban Sangria and Ivy if needed for both teams because both hunters actually end up maining those two. So let's see what they. I think this is where it's going to start to get interesting. I think Baddies is in the lead, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Red is currently in the lead as they currently have won this round with, I believe they won 5/3 because of the current score for this round. So we are going to be moving into round three pretty much. So we're gonna wait for the any teams to say if there's going to be any substitutes. So what did you think about this last match actually?
Hmm. Interesting. Interestingly enough, I think the survivors, you know, they did pretty well. I think the Cordy rotation was just like it could have ended up being so good for the survivors, but the Sangria actually managed to see the trail. So unfortunately, that coordinator was caught just like completely off guard, or like she didn't have any safety near her, so she was forced to use the gun early game. The early down kind of made it harder. Even with the selling from first officer, which was a really good rescue by the way. That was I think it was, yeah, it wasn't a double down. It was just one hit into the rescue. And I think what really killed the survivors there from having any chance was that the Sangria managed to put the Embalmer into basement. So maybe Embalmer should have tried to get away as far away as from basement there. But yeah, overall, very fun match to watch. What do you think?
I actually think that's what could have been a mistake from the survivors part was that they were hoping for a cipher pop, but they forgot to what it seems to me that they forgot that their embalmer was bringing a suicide bill and did not have borrowed time with him. So when the toy merchant went to rescue him in basement, it pretty much was almost like a death sentence to me.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I think if that happened to me, because I do know that sometimes I like to bring suicide builds in some characters, and I end up taking kite actually as a second kiter, right? And oftentimes I'll find myself even just in rank, right? I'll find myself in chair, and then Cypher is primed, but my team is forced to play around the fact that I don't have borrowed time. So I think that's basically what happened here. They really had to try to the toy merchant had to basically take the hit for Embalmer somehow for them to or for Toy Merchant to even just get any distance or try to go for dungeon or whatsoever. So yeah, but sometimes having a suicide build does come in pretty handy to kite in these hunters, especially Sangria, of course.
Yeah, but considering this was an ASOP and that they were in basement, I think they didn't have a lot of place to work in basically because there's not a lot of I was obviously not a lot of pellets inside of the basement. So they really needed to bank on the toy merchant body block. But I do think that they also played really well. For example, like you said, the rescue for the first officer was pretty clean actually, with only a hit, and the coordinator did a pretty good job getting as far away as possible from any ciphers that she could get shared behind.
Yeah, definitely. We're now looking more into what's happening inside the scene. We're just checking from both teams what the score is so that they are able to, see what they need. So, for example, for baddies, they probably need, I think, a high
We
or
are um
higher.
yeah, we are already on round three, so basically we are going to rank it over ourselves with score based on points. So basically, the team I believe will win if they have more points over the others. As I don't think that's how it works on round three.
I
So
it's if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's rounds and also points. So if now it is 1-0 for baddies. If baddies wins this second round, no matter the score, I believe they take the win.
yeah, that's right. And if
Yeah.
they do not, then we will be choosing by points.
So basically, what we need to see here is if AA is going to be hunting first, and we see the score that the survivors are going to get. Now, baddies is now going to be able to see what they need to win, or vice versa as well. If the baddies are going to be playing, or sorry, if the AA survivors are going to be playing first, then the other hunter can see what they need.
Yeah, we're currently waiting for the baddies to actually pick the next map. All maps are available once again for round three, but characters are still pretty much permanent now. It does look like the Americans anthem really doesn't really want to see a moonlit pick because they decided to ban Moonlight Park right off the bat. A bit unfortunate because I did wish to see a bit of gameplay over on that map. And oh, we're going to be going up to Chinatown again, it
Once
seems.
again, yeah.
Oh,
Let's
yes, so
see.
we're gonna move into Chinatown again, but this time around, characters are still permabound. So from baddies, I do believe that the characters they do have permaban are right now Gardener, Magician, and these last two that they had over here, which were,
Um,
and I believe they locked in, not Tony Merchant, but one
I
that's,
do you remember. I do not remember. I think it might have been no, not Seer. Seer was banned. Oh no, it might have been Seer actually, because that first game was Seer.
yeah, it was, I believe it is Seer and Barmaid. They're permanent
Yeah,
survivors now.
yeah,
With,
indeed.
for the America's Anthem survivors right now that are permanent will be um
Embalmer and Toy Merchant.
Embalmer, Toy Merchant, as well as the last ones from last round, which would have been Magician and Whipping Clown actually.
Hmm, interesting. And it also looks like we're going to see the Baddies Hunter here, um, against the AA survivors as the first start of the third round.
Yes, we'll be seeing the American survivors against the Baddies Hunters. So, yes, as a reminder, they do have Magician, Toy Merchant, Embalmer, and Whipping Clown banned. So, They're going to have to look for different survivors, actually. I do believe that it might be difficult to have another replacement for Toy Merchant because they will no longer have their support here in Chinatown, and her catapults were pretty good, actually. So I'm curious to see how they're going to play.
Hmm. What options can they bring here in Chinatown? I think we've seen. Have we seen female dancer from this team, or have we seen female dancer from the other team? I think that could be a pretty solid option for this map.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's. I do think we might see some aeroplanists, actually. I know he's pretty good on this map precisely because of how many two-floor sites are in. So maybe we'll see him as a possible survivor or even a rescuer for the American Anthem survivors. And I do think we might be able to see maybe a coordinator again because of how good her gun can be against any hunter.
I do believe that since we are aiming for a different hunter at the moment, we can definitely expand our survivor roster. So we can maybe see like some cheerleader. We can see some psychologist again if she's not banned. What else could we see? What else? Fire investigator. Mm, Antiquarian probably is like the. I think the good survivors are going to be banned. I see these survivors right now on the perma bans, and I think to myself, okay, well, these are pretty good optional survivors that you can have. So also definitely a good job on the survivor team to pick the survivors that you might not need later first. Granted, Toy Merchant is pretty good on Chinatown. But that's very important to do.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's right. And well, they might also be going for an opera singer and an Ivy band precisely because of how strong those two are. So maybe we'll have to see different hunters being whipped around as well. Maybe we'll see Woodchuck, like you said, he's really good on this map if you know how to play him. And maybe we'll see Dreamwitch. I know she can be pretty dangerous in Chinatown as well. Or maybe even Joseph.
yeah, I mean, both hunters played Opera and Ivy on both rounds, so we're 100% going to see something different than those. I do believe that those are the two hunters that are going to be banned. Um, I think even yeah, like Wax Artist could be fun. I think even like Lizard, if they, I don't think I don't know what they play, but maybe Lizard could be fun. Maybe a Naiad would also be fun to see. Yeah, there's a ton of options here in Chinatown. Pretty big map, so let's see.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see from the very first bands for this hunter, it might be Seer and Antiquarian, which is a pretty nice choice actually. Antiquarian has a very long stance and she can be a pretty good harasser against any other hunter. And Seer, well, we already saw how strong his owls can be if used correctly.
Yeah, most definitely, and this antiquarian also in if she does end up kiting in the two-story areas, she can use the jump ability to get out of those two stories and gain so much distance. I don't think the hunters tend to expect that from antiquarian. Even just the stick, like just stunning the hunter and disabling the abilities is already good enough of an ability to have on the team. We are going to leave Priestess open here, though, for Chinatown, which is a
And they
very dangerous pick.
Yeah, they do immediately grasp on the priestess, which is a pretty bold choice, actually. And they also grab on the first officer before he can be banned, which I think is a pretty good choice because as they can no longer be permabanned, they don't have to think so much about that survivors that they can pick. So I'm curious to see if they're going to go for a mainly rescue. Oh, we're going to see an Ada lock in pretty much over here.
Yeah, I mean this seems already like fairly solid team comp. We're also running Acrobat. Yeah, just two very good kiters, one very good support, and then one fairly all-round rescuer band. And then from the survivors, from that angle, we're seeing a really, really good support, really good rescue support, a fairly good rescue, and we're going to see an explorer from the survivor side here. Very interesting, very
Yeah,
fun
very
as well.
interesting choice actually. I normally see that for filler the colors it's mostly chosen lawyer precisely because he can see the location of the hunter and that can help a lot. But exploring I don't think we have seen him being played so much in this tournament.
No, definitely not. Explorer is quite honestly underrated. Um, he's like he has some issues, of course. He doesn't really have a kiting ability, but his decoding is pretty nice. It does counter some hunters really hard. If you think, for example, of Hermit, I think if you use the book, you instantly decode 50% instead of having to wait the whole progress from all the seven cipher or all the five ciphers that are connected. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a good pick.
Oh, we're going to see some Night Watch play from what it seems. Actually, pretty bold choice.
Definitely a good pick for this map. I don't think there's a lot of walls where Nightwatch cannot use his wind. Like mainly the kiting areas you'd want to chase someone with Nightwatch are pretty open, and just the
Yeah.
mobility that Nightwatch has is enough to solidify that him taking him as a picker on this map. So not
Yeah,
surprised, but also excited to see him.
yeah, I think I used to be. I'm a night watch main as well, so I know he's pretty good on this map, especially because of how much of a dead zone the middle can be because of the tree. So if he's able to chase off the hunters right into the middle, then they might be able to get a bit of survivors the downing zone. So they're going for the L shape, it seems, with the first officer right in the middle, and Explorer is actually going to be almost next to the second floor, with Ada on second floor, and Priestess is going into the very top.
Hmm. It does seem like we're going to get a chase onto Priestess here potentially. Which, granted, Priestess is strong, but her early game is still rather weak. She only has one portal, quote unquote only, because it does last a long time. Like the stun is actually really long. So it all depends on if we do chase Priestess here. It really depends on the Priestess to kite as much time as possible to regain those portals. The more she gets, the more she can kite with, right? So.
Yeah, that's right. And it also really depends on how this Night Watch decides to play. I think a full aggressive Night Watch might be a good choice, especially because of the Explorer. That Explorer is going to be detrimental for the Night Watch, especially if he decides to go for a full Cypher Rush.
Yeah, and
Night Watch
definitely. Yeah.
The Nightwatch doesn't have a lot of abilities to counter cipher rushing, so he really needs to rely on his own self aggression to make sure that no one is able to kite ciphers for too long. He needs to rely on his speed from his speed boots as well.
His chase is very important. It's basically his entire kit, mobility to or traversal, rather, to go from point A to point B on a map. But more importantly, his chase is really good, even just early game. So yeah, it looks like we're going to chase Priestess. We're trying to find her already. And we're also looking. Explorer is already looking to get his pages up. Priestess taking here a rotation through middle, trying to get to two-story area. Still being chased by the Night Watch. So it does look like she is going to end up being the chase.
Yeah, I think a good choice is to get rid of the princess already, especially as Night Watch, because if you don't have, oh, very nice reading from the Night Watch to get rid of that portal instead of following them, and they're moving up to the second story.
Oh, that was honestly very well played from the Night Watch. That mind game, he predicted that that the priestess would use the portal there. I think this psychologist wants to try and take the. Okay, yeah. I think she wanted to try and get the trail away from this priestess and see if she can get Kite here. It looks like the cipher progress is quite bad right now as well because the psychologist was she was taking Kite nearby, and that's a pretty early down actually. Or
Yeah,
not too early, but warp is so stuff can definitely happen right now.
yeah, it seems like a difficult position for all of them. They do need to get a bit of more cipher progress in, but they already have 1 and 70, probably because of the explorer's own ability. And oh, it looks like they're going to use an explorer page right now to get that cipher pretty much finished, and they're leaving alone the priestess to maybe get a save from the psychologist.
Looks like we are going to get this rescue before half, or try our best to do so. Doesn't manage to block. That's a pretty good rescue actually. If we don't try to get the body block but does not manage to do so. Let's see if this psychologist can try not taking another hit. Unfortunately, she does end up giving another hit to this Night Watch, who's already full presence.
Yeah,
Um,
full present night watch can be really scary, especially because of the extra bar he gets and the much better ability enhancement he gets.
let's see what the survivors can do here to come back from this early game. Where the first officer is going to come into rescue, but very difficult here. Yeah, our Night Watch is trying our best to to try and hit the first officer, get the first hit as early as possible, and then he potentially using a warp to go back. Very good warp
Oh, just
here,
hold a hit on him. Pretty nice red from the night watch.
and that is going to be our double down.
Most likely
Priestess,
no. That's right. Oh, Priestess makes the bold choice to pull down the pallet and be using spamming her own portals to maybe try and get a bit more of closing distance from the Night Watch right now, but it will be a double down most likely. This is a pretty tight spot because she no longer has portals to work around with.
and she unfortunately did not have. Yeah, she did not have portals and no more pallets really, safe pallets to work around with. We do have a warp available. Let's see if Explorer. I don't think Explorer has a lot of page right now, but he did manage to complete a full cipher with the thanks to the pages here. It looks like a psychologist might actually take the Kite here.
Yes, and it looks like they used their warp to get a bit more closing distance on them. So, oh, it looks like they do get the head after mind reading a bit on that palette. So maybe she will be our next chair pretty much.
And the ciphers are looking really. I think the ciphers are looking fine, but we do need to end up getting this rescue somehow. Um,
Yes, that's right. And the thing is that it might be have to be Explorer the one who does this rescue. He is pretty much pretty hiding on the objects from the building and letting the officer decode. But the thing is that they do get a hit from the Explorer and manage to get the flywheel over there.
let's see if he decides to. He will decide to keep chasing the first initial target, which was psychologist, creating this double down situation here for the survivors. And with a cipher 73%, first officer is caught off guard
Oh,
here. Does have to use a watch in order to not get downed. Yeah, I think we were just going to come back to pick up this explorer and try to get as much as pressure going with the. It does end up picking himself up. Pretty
does
quick
have
self
a okay.
heal.
I don't know if it's a good choice because maybe they will choose to maybe slug out of him. Oh, they do get the terror shock, sadly. And it looks like the survivors are going to focus themselves on pretty much healing the first officer, considering he does have borrowed time to, as on contrary to psychologists, which will not be able to pick herself up in case they do go for a cipher pop rescue.
Do we know where the last cipher is located at? Is it the one nearest to Explorer's chair, or is it the one
I
actually?
I don't know. actually. But it looks like they haven't, they probably are starting into another cipher, actually. Psychologist is already on full health as well in case she needs to move around. Explorer will be going down sadly, and looks like they will be moving on to the final chair, actually, for this explorer, most likely, as a first officer isn't any longer in any spot to. Oh, they use the word to get some closing distance on these two.
That's a yeah. Very oh, do we get this hit? We do not end up getting this hit. First off, it's a good job at dodging those both of those hits. But with Explorer here, dead on J, we have to get this down as soon as possible so that the ciphers do not get. Sadly, we're not able to flywheel. We're not able to get the timing of the flywheel with that charge attack from the hunter here. It does seem like we're going to be able to pop here with no warp available anymore. I think we're going to be waiting here since both ciphers are actually primed. So
Yeah, it's not. It really depends on whether he wants to go for the first officer down, and but he does have borrowed time, unlike the psychologist, I believe. So it's really a choice of how do I want to make my choice, but it's looking most likely like a possible one man for this team.
I think what the hunter's trying to do here is push him to push the first officer to die as close as possible to the cipher, but also trying to get as much time killed to get his warp back to potentially get this psychologist who I'm not sure if she no, she is not going to decide to open the gate. She is going to try to rotate completely away from the gate, out of that tinnitus range, and potentially get a dungeon escape. So we might be looking at a one-man escape or a potential 4K from the Baddies Hunter.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like she may be waiting on Dungeon, actually. Dungeon is pretty close where the psychology is right now. So maybe she's trying to go for that dungeon escape.
Let's see. Where's the psychologist? She's trying to run close to the dungeon, but she might be found because of the
Oh,
tinnitus
yeah.
range.
Natos is already up, so he knows that she's around here, waiting probably on dungeon, so he's going to try and card this dungeon like if it was prey. And oh, they do find the psychologist sadly, so oh, they're going to use the win and pretty much get the free 4K right now.
Yeah,
Good job on their behalf, actually. Good job on both teams.
yeah, I'm impressed actually on how this Nightwatch managed to get the 4K in the end. I thought it was going to look more like a tie, potentially one-man escape from the survivors, but very good job, honestly. And the survivors, I mean, good effort on them. This Nightwatch was just managed to get all the downs they needed in order to solidify this win. A very good job on both sides.
Yeah, yes, I do agree. It was pretty good job on the both sides, and the Night Club had a really good um how do I say this? He had a really good mind game throughout all of it. They managed to predict very well some of the pocket watches um from the first officer, for example, when he pretty much wind dashed him right into him after they were getting ready to find a rescue.
And
And
even
I
afterwards, from as you said, from the priestess in the early game, predicting that she would portal away from the two-story area and actually getting a very early hit thanks to that predict.
Yeah, and I actually believe that with this, the series is practically over. There is no way for the Americans anthem to recover from this in a second half of round three. So this game is going to end in 2-0 with Betis in favor with 15 and 8 points. So congratulations to both teams. I think both of you played really, really well, and it really was a show of skill from both hunters and from all the survivors involved.
Yeah, I mean, I thank God you said it because I was like, oh, they're probably going to have another round, right? But no, that's impressive. So yeah, they actually managed to the baddies team gets the win here, and secures the two you said 2-1 2-0 for
Yes,
baddies.
girl. That's correct.
Um, yeah, I think I don't know about you. I definitely liked seeing these matches. I would have loved to see even if right now of course it has ended. I would have loved to see a last match from the other hunter into Team Baddies to see what they could have brought here in Chinatown. I think that would have been very fun. But regardless of that, the other basically the two other matches were fun. They were interesting. Still, with meta hunters, Sangria and Ivy, but still just shows that the players who play those characters are that it's what makes them strong. It's not only that the hunter is strong. So congratulations on both teams. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty amazing show of skill because I do think we saw a lot of interesting things going on from both sides. So I'm pretty sure that we saw some abilities here, and hopefully we will be able to see them play again. As a small reminder, later on today, I do believe right now we have some matches happening off stream, and we will also see in a couple of hours the UAGCN versus Americans Anthem again, as well as we will be seeing QCAT Sminkling versus Omni actually.
Yeah, there's a couple more matches coming up soon. I'm excited to see what these teams can do for us today. It is pretty late for me, sadly, so I don't know how much of them I will be able to see, but I will leave you to I don't know if you're commentating as well, one of those matches. But I
I
will leave the rest.
I don't think I will be commentating any of those matches because it's also kind of late for me. But hopefully, I will be able to tune in to see how it goes, and hopefully, all of you who are watching are able to tune in as well for those matches.
Yeah, most definitely, and of course, like a special thanks to Lalzi for hosting the stream here, as he does work quite a lot to get the streams going and to be able to get the gameplay going, basically. So yeah, thank you. I'm assuming yeah, thank you for having me here, and it was very fun to commentate with you.
Yeah, I also had so much fun with you. It was lovely, lovely commentating with you, Justice. And hopefully, we are able to commentate together at some time. So, as well, I hope that everyone who is watching is able to tune in for those next matches. And hopefully, we will be able to see you all again. So, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you later.
Yeah, thanks for